Mr Roux, 3 people died. Were these deaths preventable?
Senator, there is no doubt that it was disappointing that on the day of the 18th that errors that were made in upgrading a firewall led to 000 calls not being in all cases being able to be answered for an extended period of time.
More than disappointing, Mr Roux, it was devastating. The consequences of this were devastating.
I agree with that, Senator.
Given the multiple failures that occurred, 3 people died, why should you keep your job?
Well, three people have informed that they were unable to make 000 calls, and as I understand, a fatality occurred. Senator, I've said in my opening statement that the job that I wanted to take at Optus was because I do think Optus is a really important part of the telecommunications sector. You can see...
Hang on. No, sorry, Mr Roux, I'm going to cut in there. There were horrendous failures. 3 people died. Could you please address my question? Why should you keep your job?
I am addressing your question, Senator. The job that I took on was one to ensure that Optus transformed into the business it needed to be because of its import to the telecommunications sector.
When you are providing a critical life-saving service such as 000, no telecommunications carrier can sit on its hands. And surely that is not good enough, that these reforms were not implemented quickly. I mean, the ACMA determination made in April, the telcos were given 6 months. That's outrageous. On the watch of the minister, that's outrageous. The requirement to notify emergency services in real time, the requirement to do testing, the requirement to submit management plans before you undertook any network upgrade. It's outrageous that they couldn't have been implemented straight away after these were identified 2 years ago in the Bean Review.
I'm not hiding from the fact that there was again, I gave you an explanation, not an excuse. I'm not hiding from the fact that things were not escalated.
Mr. Arthur. Mr. Arthur, you've heard all of this, and this says to me your management team is not up to the job. And there was members of the team who knew that it was a whole lot worse, that they'd given misleading information, wrong information to the government. They knew that completing the welfare checks that 2 people had died, and their CEO was totally out of the loop. Like, how can you sit here as the chairperson of Optus and say that this executive team are doing their job?
Senator, as the Chief Executive pointed out, there were, I think, 10 failures here. 10 failures. And if you're asking me whether I am alarmed at that, I can assure you I am. However, this man was brought into this company to make sure we became a company that didn't have 10 failures like that. That's his job. Now, he's partway through this job, and I'm expecting him to finish it, because I never in my life want to be in the position I'm in today where I have to answer these sorts of questions about a company I'm associated with.
Well, is there anyone else on the executive team who's going to get the sack? Because from what I can see, there's been failure from the corporate communications element right through to the CEO.
Senator, if you're asking me whether or not there will be accountabilities here, and accountabilities not just for junior people, then I can assure you that there will be. When the dust settles, and what I mean by that is that we have all of the facts, we have Dr. Schott's report, we have the ACMA investigation outcome, and indeed we have your report. The board will, as is its duty, deal with accountabilities.
All of your customer service personnel should be onshore. Wow. No person, doesn't matter whether they're old, young, they can be young, they can be a teenager, everyone is entitled to the same support.
Well,
And surely this is a wake-up call for Optus, that you've got to do absolutely everything to deliver the best possible service to ensure this never happens again.
Senator, I completely agree with that sentiment. We do have to do everything to ensure we have the best possible service. It is my judgment that having those calls on shore will be very important for 000, for vulnerable customers and so on, and having those on shore, and that's why we're actually in the process of doing that now.
Mr Arthur, part of the job of managing is to comply with the law, to comply with your regulatory obligations. That's core business.
Licence conditions are core business.
Core business.
You only get to operate in this country as a telco because of the licence that's given to you via the Australian government on behalf of the Australian people. You have to comply.
Chair, if I can just quickly... I'm astounded by this. This is a massive issue that you're not prepared to address this.
Senator, can I comment, please? There are two issues here. There is, do I understand, does the company understand that it is absolutely bound by Australian law and must follow Australian law and regulation? Yes, I do.
Mr Arthur, that is not my question.
I know it's not your question.
And please just directly answer my question.
But I do understand that we have to follow the law. But if you're asking me whether, as I sit here, I have received reports from my people on the precise nature of the laws involved here that I may have breached, I haven't.
Wow.
And that's what I'm telling you.
That's extraordinary. Have the families indicated that they wish to meet with you, or has there been any other communication?
Once again, Senator, the privacy of the families,
Mr. Rue,
these are people...
Mr Rue, just to be absolutely clear, you need to answer the direct question.
You are under the rules of Senate estimates. You are required to answer the question.
I have given you my answer.
Well, that is not an answer, because you are ducking and weaving the question. Now, it can be a contempt of this committee to not answer questions. So could you please, I will give you another opportunity to provide us with full information.
I have answered the question, Senator.
Has there been discussions or any offer of compensation or any claim?
I can assure you, Senator, that Optus will do the right thing with compensation, but at this stage, we are under various investigations.
There was a major incident declared at 13:51 on the 18th of September. The last failed call to 000 occurred at 14:31, so 40 or so minutes later. The outage was resolved 3 minutes later at 14:34.
Yes.
There were then emails sent to the Department and the Minister's Office at 14:45 and 14:51. It looked to me as if you were holding off giving any advice in relation to the outage until it had been resolved, rather than alerting ACMA and the Minister's Office at 13:51 when you knew that there was a major incident and that had been declared?
No, Senator, but maybe Mr Ross might like to answer that. But I think we were... The information that management had to tell authorities, once we had that was provided, I believe.